Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
For writers and public personalities, it's becoming increasingly important to have an online presence. This normally takes the form of a website and social media. However, things like a cluttered site or broken links can scare potential readers away. It's time to get a health check. Until the 30th of June, Black Wolf Editorial Services is offering a special website health check package. Get a new bio for your site. Have the site navigation and general layout assessed. Get a review of your Twitter activities. Get an objective opinion about your public Facebook page. Find out what works well and what could potentially scare your readers away. And all this for $35. At the end of the day, the face we put online will be the one that most people will see. Let us help you put your best foot forward. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For full details and a list of other services, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark. The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View. How are y'all doing out there today? It's good to be back with you. Yeah, I'm running late for a second day in a row. Life has me running in circles. right now. I can't count the number of things that I've been up to. Can't tell you about all of them either. I got a new secret, well, semi-secret project. If you've been listening, you've heard I am working on starting a new show. Now, it's called Jessie's Coffee Shop. It's going to be about writing and books, because believe it or not, I do have other interests besides chasing down news stories for you guys. I actually love books. No, really, I have a serious love of books. It's probably why my Kindle is my second favorite friend. Yeah, my Kindle is a constant companion. I think it's got some 400 books on it right now. And who knows how many it's going to have in my library. I've completely lost track. So, all right. I'm going to admit something up front that I usually don't admit, even when it's true. I'm not as prepared for today's show as I'd like to be. But I'm going to do my best. Always do. Always do. So, what's been going on in the world? And I am not going to discuss the Orlando shooting. Now, I do have a show that I'm working on getting sorted out so I can upload tonight that I did with Bill at Defend Wall Street the other night when my electricity was in and out. We actually managed to pull together a show, but you haven't gotten to hear it yet. Oh, yeah. So, I promise you, it's going to be fascinating. All right. You know, I like to talk about things that you haven't necessarily heard on the news. They're news, but mainstream media, it doesn't bleed, so it doesn't lead. Well, this one did bleed, but still didn't lead. What would you say about 170,000 counts of accessory to murder? I'd say it's a lot of blood. But it didn't lead because it was a 94-year-old former Auschwitz guard that was just sentenced to 5 years in prison. Oh yeah, just sentenced. His name is Reinhold Hanning. And the Jewish community, the World Jewish Congress, is thrilled. The man will probably die in prison, even though he only got 5 years. He's already 94. Hanning has denied any role in the killings. He was a guard at Auschwitz, but he did offer an apology. He did say he'd wished he'd never been there. And he also said it disturbs him deeply he was part of such a criminal organization. He's ashamed that he saw injustice and never did anything about it. He did apologize for his actions. After the verdict, 88-year-old survivor Hetty Bum told NBC that a weight had fallen off her shoulders. She was extremely relieved. Now, for those of you that don't live under a rock or aren't up on at all on World War II history, Auschwitz was the site where hundreds of thousands of people were gassed or died or worked to death, starved. There were 1.1 million Jews killed at Auschwitz, and that doesn't include the political prisoners and things like that. So, yeah. I would say, excuse me, Mr. Frog is back. Ribbit. We are running out of time. Because both survivors and those that committed these horrible atrocities are dying. Now, do I necessarily want to see a 94-year-old man imprisoned for something he was probably ordered to do? I'm not sure. But for those who lived through the Holocaust and were possibly even at Auschwitz, I'm glad. I haven't made up my mind on this, but I'd say that's a story that bleeds. But it sure didn't lead. All right. The Egypt Air Flight 804 data recorder's been recovered. That's made a little bit of news. They did say the box itself was damaged. However, they don't know if the data inside has been damaged. They just recovered it. And so now they've got the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder. Thank God. They found it. I'm also hoping they can bring some relief to the families of those people who perished. Because it's a tragedy. Yeah, it was a huge tragedy. All right. Let's talk military. Iraq Special Forces have seized the center of Fallujah. Yes, they recaptured most of the city as the Islamic State terrorist group's grip crumbled. Now, this took them weeks. All right, I'm going to see if I can get this audio to play for you. Give me just a second. I usually have things a little more keyed up, but we're just going to try and run with this one as is. All right. All right, sorry about that. You weren't getting the audio. We're going to restart it and see if we can get it for you.
Iraqi forces pushing forward into the center of Fallujah following intense fighting with ISIS militants. The U.S. military now confirming Iraqi troops have seized a government building with the support of multiple airstrikes. from the U.S. coalition. Foreign correspondent Connor Powell is live for us in our Middle East bureau. And Connor, break this down for us. Are Iraqis and the coalition now declaring victory in Fallujah?
That's right. Iraqi forces have made significant progress in the last few days, pushing ISIS out of most of the city. And now, Iraqi forces control most of the south. They control the city center. There are some pockets of light resistance, as they're describing it, in the northern part of Fallujah. We are still seeing civilians stream out of the city, some desperately trying to swim for safety. Aid groups talking about shortages of food and water. So the city, while mostly in the hands of Iraqi troops, is still facing a lot of problems. ISIS still has some pockets, but we're hearing reports of ISIS checkpoints being abandoned and ISIS fighters fleeing, trying to get out of Fallujah as quickly as possible. Abby, the really big question is, what of Fallujah still remains after Tikrit and Ramadi were liberated? Neither of those cities had much in the way of infrastructure that remained. That's sort of the big question groups are trying to get in right now to see. But ISIS, it does appear, has been practically almost completely pushed out of Fallujah.
Yeah, it's a big question, some unsettling times. Connor Powell, live for us. Connor, thank you.
That audio was off Fox News. Now I've got another Fox News clip, and this one's about a minute, and I actually have this one preloaded. I apologize for that other audio sneaking in. This one's Charles Krauthammer's opinion on ISIS and how we need to defeat them. Let's take a listen.
The way to defeat and to prevent these things is not gun control. And it is not the FBI investigating. Yes, to some extent that will mitigate it. But in a country of this size, with so many people as potential targets of investigation, unless you want to create a police state, there is no way that you can prevent. There's only one way to go after this, and that is the Osama bin Laden theory. And he knew about jihadism, of the strong horse and the weak horse. I think Brit Hume had it right. Ultimately, the only way to decrease recruitment is not with logic, not with argument, not with really clever programmers who know how to do Twitter. It is by defeating the jihadists or showing them in retreat. These movements only grow when they have a sense of inevitability and growth. Once they are in retreat, people stop recruiting. You're not going to die in a suicide attack for a movement that is not advancing. And that means attacking ISIS where it is.
All right, so that was after the Orlando shooting and how we could prevent terrorist attacks. And I agree with him. You can't you're going to have a very hard time in this country because, quite frankly, I don't want this country turned into a police state. That's what North Korea is. And we've heard so much about North Korea with me. Don't even play that game that you don't know what North Korea is up to. Let's see, nuclear weapons. Yeah, all kinds of stuff we don't want them to. Now, speaking of North Korea, it's crab season over there. Now, North Korea and South Korea do not have a peace treaty. They are technically still at war, for those of you living under a rock. And the North Korean limit line doesn't include the best crabbing waters. So a lot of North Korean ships will try and sneak across and grab crabs. And Chinese fishing boats have been poaching from the waters and a whole other lot of things. So South Korea's increased its patrol boats so that the South Korean fishermen have better access to the crabs that are in their territorial waters. All right. India, Pakistan. 5 suspected Kashmir rebels and 2 Indian soldiers were killed in 2 separate clashes this week near the line of control that divides Kashmir between India and Pakistan. This is according to the Indian Army on the 16th of June. 4 militants who'd crossed into the Indian-controlled side from the Pakistani side were killed in fierce fighting. On Thursday, and it left 1 Indian soldier dead in the Tangdahar region of the Kupwara sector, which is close to the line of control. And this is according to Indian Army spokesman Colonel Nitin L. Joshi. There was another clash in the Kupwara sector from that left another militant soldier, and that was on June 15th. Infiltration across the line of control in Kashmir is a reliable measure in the state of Indian-Pakistan relations. 2 incidents in a week equals strained relation. Now, we talked about Fallujah, but there's another town. This one's in Syria. This one's called Manbij. The U.S.-led coalition said in a press statement on June 15th that the Syrian Democratic Force-led alliance completed the first phase of the operation to feed Manbij, and now they're working on the second phase. Manbij is important. Why? Well, it's near Aleppo. It's also not that far from Raqqa. Also, again, if you're living under a rock, guess what? Raqqa is the capital of ISIS. Yeah, I know. I'm talking to a bunch of people living under rocks. What can I say? Not all my listeners live under rocks. But I do keep getting these new listeners. And I've had some comments on social media and some, mostly on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Jessie's POV. So, anybody wants to catch me on Twitter, you know how to find me. Alright, let's see what else hasn't made the mainstream news. Alright, I am working on this. Give me just a second. Takes me a second, especially when I'm not prepared. Alright. Got a Daily Beast story. And yes, it relates to the Orlando shooting, but it's important. The FBI investigated and attempted to trap eventual Orlando shooter Omar Mateen after a 2013 incident in which he allegedly threatened to kill a deputy. This is according to the Vero Beach Press Journal and the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Department. And the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Department requested that the shooter, then working as a security guard, being removed from his patrol at the St. Lucie County Courthouse after he threatened to have Al-Qaeda kill a deputy and his family. He also allegedly made very disturbing comments about women and Jews and went on to say that the Fort Hood shooter was justified. Now, when the sheriff's department reported this, the FBI said, "We can't assist you." Wait a minute. Excuse me? And the FBI ultimately concluded the shooter did not pose a threat. Houston! Can somebody there wake up and smell the coffee? I think maybe some of this had to do with political correctness, which, as you all know, has run amok. Oh, yeah. Now, it is almost the bottom of the hour, so we are going to take a quick commercial break, and I will be back with you in just a couple of minutes. All right. Just trying to get those commercial queued up. I know, normally I'm more organized, but last night I had to rearrange my board for something else I was doing. So I'm just a tad behind the curve today. And all I want is you guys to bear with me just a hair. All right, we are going to take a commercial break. And I will see you back here in about 3 minutes.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
For writers and public personalities, it's becoming increasingly important to have an online presence. This normally takes the form of a website and social media. However, things like a cluttered site or broken links can scare potential readers away. It's time to get a health check. Until the 30th of June, Black Wolf Editorial Services is offering a special website health check package. Get a new bio for your site. Have the site navigation and general layout assessed. Get a review of your Twitter activities. Get an objective opinion about your public Facebook page. Find out what works well and what could potentially scare your readers away. And all this for $35. At the end of the day, the face we put online will be the one that most people will see. Let us help you put your best foot forward. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For full details and a list of other services, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
All right. Thank you for bearing with me while I paid those bills. Nope, I'm not done. Only got a couple more minutes with you, and I'm going to make the most of it. All right. You know, I've been doing a lot with the Libertarians and the Libertarian Party. And when you ask me why, I got one simple answer. Because I don't want to vote for either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. And I did attend the Libertarian Convention. As you all know, well, if you've been following me for any length of time, you're aware. So, what can I say? Some, not all their positions, make sense. I would love to see the government get out of the education business. I'm sorry, we had better education system. We had a better education system years ago when it was up to the local towns and government. And now it just seems people are graduating high school who can't read and write. They can't do math to make simple change. I was at a fast food establishment the other day, and I handed my order, I forget what it was, but the total involved meant that if I gave them 3 pennies, I would get all silver change back and a couple of dollar bills. The person making the change couldn't figure out how much change I was actually due without pulling out her cell phone and using a calculator. Excuse me, a $7.53 order out of 10 should not be that complicated. Come on. I'm math challenged. But you just take it slowly, bit by bit, and it'll all work out. All right. So, I found a recent interview with CNN and candidate Jerry Johnson. And it's his comments on the Orlando shooting and his position on gun control and just general updates about his candidacy. Let's take a listen.
I don't know if we can ever claim to stop a terrorist attack when you're talking about somebody who is just maniacal and deranged and ready to give their own life. But there are things I think that perhaps could be done. And what I would really be curious to know is what did transpire between him and the FBI.
All right, let me stop it and we'll yank it again and see what comes of it the second time. All right, give me 1 second. I'm just having all kinds of technical difficulties today, aren't I? All right, let's give this a second shot.
I don't know if we can ever claim to stop a terrorist attack when you're talking about somebody who is just maniacal and deranged and ready to give their own life. But there are things I think that perhaps could be done. And what I would really be curious to know is what did transpire between him and the FBI. What was the context of those 3 interviews that the FBI did? And I know that the FBI, front and center, has somebody who is just maniacal and deranged and ready to give their own life. But there are things I think that perhaps could be done. And what I would really be curious to know is what did transpire between him and the FBI? What was the context of those 3 interviews that the FBI did? And I know that the FBI, front and center, has some input on what they might do differently in the future. No way do I want to fault the FBI. I'm sure they're faulting themselves. Here it is. This guy was in front of the FBI 3 times, interviewed 3 times, and yet this act did occur.
You have said you don't support a ban on Muslims entering the United States, obviously.
I do not support a ban on Muslims entering the country.
And you don't support more gun restrictions?
I don't. I'm in the camp that believes that if you restrict guns, the bad guys are going to have guns. Just that simple.
So you think it won't stop them. Here's what Bill Clinton said, though, about what happened on Saturday night in that Orlando club and why he thinks gun control would have made a difference. Here he is.
If the guy had just had a pistol in that nightclub, I don't think anybody believes he could possibly have killed 49 people.
Well, and it was also, you hate to second guess anything, but all these events too are occurring. All these horrific shootings are happening in gun-free zones, where if potentially it wasn't a gun-free zone and that there were a number of people in that nightclub that might have been carrying weapons for self-defense, that it may have lessened the tragedy. And by no means do I want to second guess anything.
So the bottom line is you don't believe that guns are the issue. You have had a message that has resonated with more and more people, Governor. All right, look, now you're between 9 and 12% in some new polls. Your numbers have really gone up. 15% is the magic number. You get 15%, you're going to be sitting on stage with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in the debates.
Whoa. That might just happen.
What are you going to do to make that happen?
A unique position that myself and Bill Wold, my running mate, have, and that is that we are fiscally conservative, over the top. We're socially liberal, but it really doesn't matter whether you're socially liberal or conservative, as long as you don't force that on other people. Let people make decisions in their own lives. And then lastly, with regard to our military interventions, I think our military interventions have resulted in the world being less safe, not more safe.
So what do you do if you don't get to 15%, if you're not on that debate stage? What's your strategy?
Well, there's no way to win. There's no way to get elected President of the United States. And the only chance that I have, I don't know if we can ever claim to stop.
All right. I want to comment on something that he said before I continue playing this audio. All right. He said that basically if the shooter had had just a handgun, the damage might have been lessened. I'm a gun owner, for those of you who aren't aware. I'm a gun owner with a concealed carry permit. The magazine in my firearm, which is a Glock 19, holds 15 rounds. I have 5 of them. Do you know how long it takes me to eject a spent magazine and reload one? About 1.2 seconds. So it doesn't take long. I promise. It does not take long. So I don't know. And as far as, but he had a quote-unquote assault rifle. Okay, yes. It was a semi-automatic weapon. A .45 can do just as much damage, if not more, than any assault rifle. A .45 is a very dangerous weapon. That, come on. It's a larger caliber bullet, and if you put hollow points in that thing, for those of you that don't know Gun Lesson 101, a regular bullet has the rounded tip you're used to. A hollow point looks like somebody stuck their finger in the center and pushed it down. A hollow point is designed to shatter once it enters the body and cause more damage. Sometimes they're also called self-defense rounds. Now, you come sneaking into my house, that's what you're going to get. You will be facing hollow point or self-defense rounds or whatever you want. And by the way, I go to the range about once every other week. Sometimes it's once every 3 weeks. No, that's not what held me up today. I had other things holding me up today. All right. Now, they were discussing Gary Johnson's getting on the debate stage. Let's see if I can pick up the audio right where it left off.
Whoa. That might just happen.
Okay. What are you going to do to make that happen?
A unique position that myself and Bill Weld, my running mate, have, and that is that we are fiscally conservative, over the top. We're socially liberal, but it really doesn't matter whether you're socially liberal or conservative, as long as you don't force that on other people. Let people make decisions in their own lives. And then lastly, with regard to our military interventions, I think our military interventions have resulted in the world being less safe, not more safe.
So what do you do if you don't get to 15%, if you're not on that debate stage? What's your strategy?
Well, there's no way to win. There's no way to get elected president of the United States. And the only chance that I have of being elected is to be in the presidential debates.
Some big-name Republicans, as you know, detest Donald Trump. It's a fair word to use. Detest. Mitt Romney among them. He says he will not vote for Donald Trump. He's going to write in a name, or he's going to vote for someone else, possibly you. Here's what he told Wolf Blitzer about you specifically.
I'm going to look at what he has to say. His running mate, Bill Weld, is someone who I respect enormously.
Former Republican governor of Massachusetts.
Exactly. And he was a fine governor, a fine friend, a supporter of mine, both in 2008 and 2012. If Bill Weld were at the top of the ticket, it would be very easy for me to vote for Bill Weld for president. So I'll get to know Gary Johnson better and see if he's someone who I could end up voting for.
Have you had any conversations with Mitt Romney?
I have not, but I think that he echoes the sentiment of a lot of Republicans, and I think it's also sentiment among a lot of Democrats. And I don't want to either say that that's elected officials. I mean, elected officials at the end of the day kind of have to line up rank and file. It's too bad that Paul Ryan has really stuck his neck out, if you will, endorsing Donald Trump, and then subsequently having to say that today, talking about the Muslim ban, that it's just not America. Well, it's not America.
So what's interesting, though, with Paul Ryan, do you think that he would ever change his mind? That he'll ever say, no, my conscience does not speak for this, that he would ever change his mind, get on board with someone like you?
Well, one of my strengths is that I tell the truth. And so when you tell the truth, you're able to admit mistakes. I make mistakes also, but I like to think that I fess up to them. So I think Paul Ryan has an opportunity here to say, look, I made a mistake. And I'm not saying that results in an endorsement of me, but come on. The statements that he's making, he's made 100 statements that would disqualify any other presidential candidate from running. And yet all you have to do is turn the page, and tomorrow it'll be 102.
So Mitt Romney is looking at you, but he mentioned a big reason, though, Governor, that he's not sure about you. And that reason is your support for legalizing marijuana. A lot of your supporters, by the way, they love you for this. Your core group, there's a core that likes it.
Sure.
But someone like Mitt Romney, now that you have all of these very mainstream Republicans now looking around, he's nervous about it. And here's what he said.
I think the legalization of marijuana on a recreational basis and legalization of drugs would be highly destructive to our coming generations and the work ethic of this country. I mean, marijuana makes people stupid.
I would suggest that marijuana, from a medicinal standpoint, directly competes with legal prescription painkillers and drugs that statistically kill 100,000 people a year. There has not been one documented death due to marijuana. That's on the medical side. On the recreational side, I have always maintained that legalizing marijuana will lead to less overall substance abuse because it's so much safer than everything else that's out there, starting with alcohol.
So the bottom line question, though, when he says it makes people stupid, do you agree with that or not agree with that? As someone who formerly used marijuana recreationally.
I do not agree with that as someone who has used marijuana. I do not agree with that.
All right. Well, Governor, thank you very much. I appreciate your time tonight.
Oh, I appreciate yours. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Governor Johnson has a couple stances I don't agree on. I don't think our military intervention around the world has made the world less safe. In most cases. There are certain cases I think it has. Now, as far as medicinal marijuana, I've got no issue with it. Recreational, I'm not so sure. I am absolutely not sure on that one. I am not sure which way to run. I've got a couple of options there, and I just haven't decided how I'm going to run, which way I'm going to turn, what's going on. So I got to take some time and think about it a little bit more and do a little more research. All right. Now, since we're on the issue of international military intervention, dozens of U.S. diplomats are pressing Obama to strike at Syria's Assad. Yes, direct action on Syria to take out Assad. Who's being backed by Russia and Iran? Where have we heard those names before? Oh, yeah. So, like I said, can anybody say proxy war? Now, I will say there's some good things going on. However, Russia had a ceasefire going in Syria. And you know what? Within 4 hours. Repeat, 4 hours. You know who broke it? Russia. Russia broke their own ceasefire. Come on. Talk about people not living up to their word. Yeah. I don't think so. Now, speaking of our good friends Russia, the Russian track and field team has been banned from the Olympics. Oh yeah. Reminds me of what I was reading in history about when the U.S. boycotted the Olympics in 1980 and Russia then boycotted in 1984. Results were awfully lopsided. Now, the 1980 Olympics was being held in Moscow and the 1984 Olympics was held here in the United States. Why was the Russian track team banned? For drug use. Yeah, you heard me. Drug use. So, the track and field governing body has said nope. Now, Russia is considering appealing. However, I really think if their athletes have, a number of their athletes have tested positive for controlled and banned substances, then they need to be banned. They really do. So, I'm sorry. There is no reason. There is no reason. When you are competing on an international world stage representing your country, in my mind, that you should be using controlled substances. It looks bad for you. It looks bad for your country. And it's flat out cheating. I mean, come on. Now, back to Russia, U.S. striking Russia. Putin's spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, strongly warned Washington against striking Assad's forces, saying it would fuel turmoil across the entire region. And hello, what's the region already in? It's already in turmoil. Yes, I know this could be the precursor to World War III. I watch this stuff so closely. Every time I read about some, troops on the move over there, I'm going, oh no, is this the day? Is this the day my husband's phone rings and he gets told, you're being deployed now, not 9 months from now as planned. You're off now. So, yes, that's something I lived with every day, especially with all of the chaos. Trust me. It is a fear I have. Is it because No, the fear isn't of him going overseas and serving. The fear is another folded flag. I have lived through the death of one husband. I have the folded flag and the spent rounds to prove it from his 21-gun salute. And quite frankly, I don't want another folded flag. Would I worry about my husband if he deployed? Excuse me, what Army wife wouldn't? Would I ask him to get out of the military so he didn't have to go? No. I would happily hug him, say goodbye, and let him go. He raised his right hand and took an oath to protect and serve this country. And asking him to change that would be asking him to change something that is part of what I love about him. In fact, let me see if I can find some audio here real quick. Hang on, I've got it. Let me just see. I just saw it. There it is. Just a reminder, the creed, the soldier's creed. I know I've just got a couple minutes left. I'm going to play it anyway.
Hello, hello.
Oh, sorry, that's not the edited version. Let me see if I got the edited version real quick. I know I've got it here somewhere. I'm not going to read it. I'm not a soldier. But it basically says that he stands ready to fight and defend this country if called on. And there's a whole bunch more to that creed. But, yeah. All right. So, all right. If I can find it, we'll do it. If not, we won't. But anyway, I am fast running out of time.
The Soldier's Creed. I am an American soldier. I am a warrior member of the team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values. I always place the mission.
Anyway, just remember, our servicemen and women are all bound by values, creeds, and oaths that they swear to uphold every day. And many of them will tell you their oath doesn't expire. All right. I am so close to out of time. I'm getting out of here. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you next time.
You can lay down if you wanna.